Well, hello there. I'm Denise Hurd, and I'm so excited to be here today for another episode of How They See Us. And so, how they see us. So, let me tell you something. If you're tuning in for the first time, you are in for a treat because how they see us is a conversation with people from the community to talk about how they're seen in the communities where they work and they live. So if you're not new here, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining again. I promise you, this will be another exciting conversation. So I am so happy to join to recognize my one of my partners in crime, who I've known for a really long time. He used to call me a pit bull in heels, and so he's my colleague Rafael Sanchez. So hey, Rafael, how are you?
Hola, ¿cómo estás? We celebrate.
Uh-oh.
Well, there I go.
We
I'm
we
back.
lost you for a second.
Yeah.
So, well, we've had some technology hoo-has, so it's all good. All good.
And that
All
may happen again. So if there's some hoo-ha, it's part of life, right? Things
right,
happen, we
right,
pivot, and
right.
it's how we respond to challenges that will say more about us than whatever happens. So it's gonna be
Exactly.
okay. It's gonna
All
be all
good.
right.
All good.
Yeah.
So I'm so happy to have you here with me today because you are thebomb.com. I mean, you won a Murrow Award, you've won multiple Emmy Awards, you're a bilingual investigative reporter with WRTV Channel 6. You're a field anchor, you are the host of a really cool talk show, a really cool show, news program on WRTV 6, which is so exciting. So I'm really happy to have you here today because it's Hispanic Heritage Month, and I really want to celebrate my other brown partners in crime and what we go through in life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness because over 60 million people living in the US today. Of the 60 million people living in the US today, 18% of the total population is Hispanic. And that number is rising and
We are
continues.
rising. We are rising.
Yes. Yes. And so you all are like the second largest minority group in the US. So that's really, really exciting because I know we've had some conversations about that, back in the day and how, our cultures are evolving and becoming more engaged. And so I just want to have this conversation with you to talk about our Latinx friends and family and partners. So thank you so much for joining us.
And I love it. I think this program really empowers, I think mostly women. I think often I see a lot of just amazing, like, how do they do that? And so I've learned from a lot of the ladies you've had. But I know you've had some guys, but usually I can say that, in the world where Beyonce tells us, right, that women rule the girls,
Who runs
women,
the world?
who runs the world. And that's okay, right? Because we have to know our place in the 21st century. So it's okay. It's all
Awesome.
good. It's all good.
So the first question I have for you is what, in your own words, what does representation mean? I mean, we use that word a lot here lately. We're hearing a lot, but if you had to drill it down, what does it mean for you?
I think it means that you're not the only one in the room.
Hmm.
It means that there are other people that look like you, talk like you, walk like you, maybe whatever that is like you are in the room so that you can have a full conversation. I think the word like representation and equity have become sort of the code word, right? Those of us that are brown, we know how to live, we know how to code switch. And
Hmm.
so so words come into being like representation as if that's a new word.
Hmm.
We just want in the door. And I don't want a free ride. I'm not asking you to build me a new door. I don't want you to open the door for me, but I would like the door to be open so that I can walk in on my own merit and say, look, this is what I bring to the table. And so
Hmm.
for me, representation just means give me a chance to prove to you that I, others like myself, others
Right.
that are part of the big rainbow, there's just a
Hmm.
lot of talented people out there
Yeah.
that can become an asset to your organization if you give them a chance.
Right. Right.
That's it.
That is
That's it. That's it.
right. Like
That's
it's
it.
like we always say, I don't want any special favors.
I really
Don't do
don't.
me any favors.
I really
Just
don't.
let me get through the door and I'll handle the rest myself.
I'll take care of my own business, and because those of us that are professionals, we are professionals.
Hmm.
We
Absolutely.
know what we need to do, and so we're not asking for anything other than um, unlock the door. Just
Right.
unlock the door, because what's happened over the years is the door has been locked, and
Right.
so you're kind of looking through the window. You
Right.
have to
Right.
get
Right.
you have to get a step stool. You got to squint in, you know. But why is that? Because at the end
Right.
of the day, in a global economy,
Hmm.
you want bilingual people in your room. Why?
Right.
Because just south of the country, there are 20 countries where people speak Spanish. So if it's about capitalism, then
Hmm.
let's make some money. I mean, like, I
Right.
want to
Right.
make
Right.
money, you want to make money, let's make money. The
Right.
people south of us, they speak Spanish.
Right.
Then let's make money. I mean,
Right.
so it's not that big. I don't get what the difficulty is in a country which always talks about.
Oh, technical difficulties again. I know he'll be right back. I know he'll be right back. There he
You,
is.
this is gonna
Hey,
happen.
it's okay. It's okay.
Don't worry about it. It is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, let me ask you a question because as you said, more representation, more engagement, more engagement. And something that I often think about in my career, and I'm sure he'll be right back and we can address this question with him when he returns. But I remember early in my career when we first started realizing that we needed to focus on our Spanish speaking consumers or Spanish speaking community members. We did not do, a lot of organizations did not do their due diligence in appreciating the language barriers that came into play. So, when Raphael returns, we're going to talk about that and have a further discussion about how that has changed and how those dynamics have changed over the years, because now I think companies are being extraordinarily intentional about how they create their marketing materials, how they create their language materials or materials that they're sharing with the communities to ensure that they're being sensitive to the language differences. So Raphael, now that you're back, I was kind of talking about back in
I
the
heard you. I heard
you
you.
heard me. Okay,
I
great.
heard you.
So
Yeah.
let me ask you your thoughts about, we've made some progress where translations are concerned, but and making sure that we're providing access and removing those barriers, those language barriers that exist. But what other communications elements do you think are missing when it comes to speaking with the Hispanic community?
Well, I think what we have to just remember is that at the end of the day, this is a very sensitive question, right? Because though Spanish is our other language,
Mm-hmm.
and the currency of our economy, right? How we make a living as Americans is English. So we have to find a way to bridge that gap. So
Mm-hmm.
let's just be um, let's be fair and to say let's find ways to get those folks that are lacking those skill sets
Mm-hmm.
so they can learn the language of the currency. That does
Mm-hmm.
not mean, right, that I'm not asking for us to be English only or any of that stuff. And I think that people and companies that go out of their way to provide bilingual material,
Mm-hmm.
God bless them because they don't have to do that, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
not you do that though to obviously to cater to your customers so that people are aware of services. But I think what we have to do on a broader scale is identify those communities, work with those leaders and say, hey, we're going to provide services around your work schedule. You
Mm-hmm.
can't teach someone English at 1 o'clock in the afternoon if they're working till 6, right?
Right.
So, right, I
Mhm.
mean, right. So it's about just making sure that we are sensitive to the communities, and it's not only obviously Spanish speakers, but people that come here from Burma and now the folks that came from Afghanistan.
Mhm,
It's
mhm,
finding ways. How do we connect with them and say, hey, we want you here. So Saturdays,
mhm,
or maybe after church on Sundays. I don't know. People have different cultural needs, but we just have to make things easier so that then they can in, empower themselves. I
mhm,
mean, immigrant communities, just like many communities, we share the
mhm,
same stuff. It's like this is novel.
mhm,
Heart,
mhm,
they want to be a part of the bigger dream too. I mean,
mhm, mhm.
they've sacrificed a lot to get here,
Mhm.
so they want to be American. I mean, like
Right.
they get it. Like this is like, holy cow, I'm in America. So we just
Mhm.
have to tap into that. But to your
Mhm.
point, though, so I think those entities like healthcare entities, I know they do a lot of public safety
Mhm.
that does a lot of the translation. I think that's
Mhm.
a very good way to, in the short term,
Mhm.
communicate with the new arrivals. But we have to find the long term, which is
Mhm.
I really need you to
Mhm.
learn the language because it will
Mhm.
benefit you. You'll be
In
a
the
better
right.
you'll be a better consumer.
Mhm.
You'll be a better voter. You'll be a
Mhm.
better parent. You'll be a
Mhm.
better all the things you want to be because then you'll be able to make decisions what on your
On
own.
your own.
I don't need you. I don't need to tell you what to do. I need
Right.
you to look at it and then you decide what's good
Right.
for you and your family. But you can't do that if the sign doesn't if you can't read the sign.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So I think we just have to find better ways to beef up those English skills where possible. Now some people are
Mhm.
never going to learn it, which is
Right.
we'll have to cross that bridge. But a lot of people want to learn it. It's just a matter of how do we do it.
Access. It seems like the commonality in everything that I'm hearing lately in these conversations that we're having is access. Giving people access, access to information, access to resources, access to learnings. It just access. And I think that if we could eliminate those barriers and create more access, we could improve the quality of life for residents throughout our city, state, and the nation.
Absolutely, I think that is, but there's also, but we have to get over the hump, right? Of the in the short term,
Right.
how do I communicate with you if we're not speaking the same language? We then
Right.
have to build, right? Get
Right.
allies, get
Right.
those allies that
Right.
know those communities and say, hey, I this is what I need from you,
Right.
in an effort to get our brothers and sisters in that community to
Mhm.
be on the same level in the sense of
Mhm.
being able to communicate. This is what
Mhm.
we can do for you. So help me help you, because when those folks are on the same playing field, then
Uh-huh.
everyone benefits.
Right.
Everyone benefits.
Well, this your response actually is a great segue into our next question. So the next question that I do have for you is about misconceptions. What do you think here in the, year of 2022 are some of the greatest misconceptions about our Hispanic and Latinx communities? Because that feeds into bias, that feeds into
Hmm.
stereotypes, which feeds into barriers to communication. So what do you think some of the biggest misconceptions are at this
Well,
time?
I think it
Mhm,
always comes down to, for example, people think that they're going to be replaced, right?
mhm,
So we see currently, we see at our southern border people people who will do
mhm,
whatever it takes to enter the country.
mhm.
So now we can have a discussion at some other point about national security. That's a different
That'd
topic,
be a good one. That would be a
right?
good one.
Right? That's a different topic. But I
Mhm,
just want us to just take a pause and think to ourselves, who in their right minds would pack their children, and I'm a parent,
mhm,
or their nieces or their whatever, and make a journey into a country where they know nothing. Like what the question is, why are they doing this? What is it about us
mhm,
that they want?
mhm,
They don't want our jobs.
mm-mm,
They don't want our homes. They don't
mhm.
want your husbands. They don't want your wives. They really don't. I mean, if you really
Right,
think,
right.
if you just take a deep breath and go, so what is happening? Like, why are all those people like knocking on the door? They're
Mhm,
knocking on the door because they know that this is the only place on earth, really, and I can't
mhm,
think of anyone else, where you can be of any station in life. You
mhm,
pick it. You could be black, white, Asian, LGBTQI, transgender. You pick it,
mhm,
and if you just let me work hard,
mhm.
I have a chance at something.
Opportunity.
I have a chance to
Opportunity.
do something, and then I
Mhm,
know because I've seen it in books
mhm,
that in America is possible. This thing of the American dream, I buy into it all the time. I believe this is
mhm,
the only place. This,
mhm,
and we are so imperfect as a country. We have
mhm,
so much, right?
mhm,
We're still
mhm,
dealing with slavery. I mean, like there's so much that we're dealing with in our
mhm,
country.
mhm,
But take all that noise away, Denise. Take it all
mhm,
away, and
mhm,
people want to come here to dream. Now,
mhm,
isn't that an amazing thing? I can't think. People do not. We don't run to Canada as Americans and go, I want to get on your border because I'm dreaming.
mhm,
This is the place. Like this is like people come and go, ah, I want to
mhm,
do that. And so
mhm,
that's a
mhm,
powerful thing. So I think sometimes people have the misconception that these
mhm.
folks that look like me want to come here to nobody wants your damn welfare.
Mhm, mhm,
Nobody.
mhm.
I mean, don't talk. Come on, really? No one's ripping you off on taxes.
Right, right, right.
What the hell are you talking about? I just
Mhm.
want to come here and work
Right, take care
and
of my family.
my family, and then maybe, just
Mhm,
maybe, my daughter or my son will learn English, and just maybe they
mhm,
may be that doctor that you need,
mhm.
or just
Oh,
maybe they'll be
mhm,
that person that works at your grocery store or is your teacher. So
mhm,
I just think we have to sort of take away the
mhm.
ugliness,
Yeah.
the venom, the nastiness, the
Mhm,
just, and then we can have a discussion about, okay.
mhm,
Okay,
mhm,
it's going to be okay. So to me, that's
mhm,
the biggest misconception. Is just the whole
mhm,
that we're out to get you. We're trying to steal something from you. That's
mhm.
just not. That is
That's
so
not the truth.
ludicrous
Mhm.
that the other misconception is everyone thinks we're all Mexican. We're
Mhm.
not.
Right,
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 right, right,
right?
right. We come from 21 different countries, uh,
Mhm,
and we as people who speak the language, we are black, we are Asian, we are white, we are brown, we are
mhm.
mestizo, we are mulatto. We are all because of the slave trade, because
Right.
of because of
Oh,
the indigenous people that were here. We had empires,
yeah.
Incas, and we I mean, like, we just didn't just show up one day speaking Spanish. I mean, we are just like the rest of the world. We had stuff going on as well, and so we are also a melting pot that
Right,
speaks, right, all these languages. So
right.
the biggest misconception is that people try to make us monolithic, that we all
Yeah,
think one thing, we're all one
yeah,
thing, and that's just not
right.
true. So
I think that everybody needs to do a 23andMe and look at their DNA makeup and their genetic makeup. I think they'd be surprised at what lies beneath the surface. So you're absolutely, absolutely right. I remember, now this was a while ago, about 6 years ago, you did a story about Carrier and
yeah.
some jobs that they were moving
Hmm.
over into Monterey, Mexico.
Yes.
And so that was an amazing story, by the way. I just,
Thank you.
give you
Thank
your
you.
props for that. That was outstanding. And so let me ask you something. Did that impact you personally? Did you have any kind of personal connection or
I,
feel
I
the
think I think
story?
what was interesting was to see again, this company and so Carrier is staying in Indianapolis. They're all good for now.
Yeah.
Everything is happy. They're on the west side. But at the
Mhm,
time, right,
mhm,
we were in the middle of a presidential election, and so these
yeah.
jobs, right? Remember, these jobs were going to go to Mexico,
Yeah.
and the pay in Mexico is different, right? So you're not
Right.
you're not going to make what you make in Indianapolis in
Right.
Monterrey. But the funny thing is, you know what? When I landed in Monterrey, I'd never been there, but
Hmm.
Monterrey might as well be like Carmel. Okay,
Really?
right? See, and so when I got there, right, on my little phone, the
Uh-huh.
news manager saying, "Well, show us like the living conditions," because in their mind they're thinking that this is some sort of
Or rural.
squalid, that there's chickens everywhere, that
Hmm.
there's whatever, and I'm like, uh, what chickens? I
Right.
mean, there was a Starbucks. I think there was a Taco Bell.
Well,
There,
there's a Starbucks. Hey, you know,
there was a monorail train. I was like, this, in some regards, this is better than Indianapolis. What are you talking about? And
wow.
so and so Monterey really is just a hub of industry.
Uh-huh.
They are a industrial, technological. Almost every American company has a something there that I could
Mhm,
see, right?
mhm,
So it was like an outlet mall of American companies.
mm,
Now, the difference is, of course, they do pay less. And
mhm,
so companies all around the world have to figure out, if I'm going to make my product,
mhm,
and what's the limit that Americans will pay for a furnace or an air conditioner or for a
mhm,
car or for tomatoes or lettuce. That's
mhm,
that's a corporate decision. And I
mhm,
think sometimes our anger is misplaced.
mm,
It is not the fault of the Mexican people that
right,
or any people that an American
right,
company, right, wants to move to their thing.
right,
They just happen to pay less money.
mhm,
We as Americans should be mad at the company making the move. Like,
right,
you should be calling the executive and be like,
right,
"What the hell are you doing?"
mhm,
Because they're the ones who are messing your family, not
mhm,
these poor people who are like,
mhm,
"Okay, jobs are coming, we'll do them."
right,
And so for me, it was just eye opening that people had presumed that
mhm,
that Monterrey was like this backwards shanty
mhm,
town where
mhm.
and listen, there were some rough neighborhoods, but
Well,
I
every community has its neighborhoods. I mean,
listen,
we're
right.
not
So
immune to that
so
ourselves.
let me not go there with folks because I could go drive around a couple of places in Indy and in
Mhm,
Carmel,
right,
right? So and in
that
France, I
part,
mean, anywhere we can
right,
find those places. But
right,
really, this place was really.
Mm-hmm.
a nice place. I mean, I could see why that was
Uh-huh.
the decision. So I think that's a misconception. We presume that because
Mm-hmm.
you're moving your product to a different country, that country has to be backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily.
It's so funny that that you brought that up because I'm still teaching at IUPUI, and we just finished a talk on ethics, and that topic came up about companies that are moving the manufacturing of their products to other countries and are paying a lesser wage than they paid in the United States. And so my students felt as though there should be some sort of protest about going into those countries, and and that the governments of those countries are not offering a livable wage for workers in their countries, and that these companies that are moving over there to do business should be chastised. And I had to explain to them, hey, if the livable wage is different in another country, we have to understand that, but we should be concerned about the company moving, period. Because if a company moves out of the United States, that means a loss of jobs
Hmm.
within the United States. So let's make sure we're prioritizing what the real issue is here,
Right.
because we can't change the cost of living in another country. We
No.
cannot change what their minimum wage standards may be. But what we can change is the company's decision to uproot and move itself out of our country. Like that's where we get involved with our elected officials.
Hmm.
We be that loudest person in the room, all that kind of good stuff. So interesting.
And so what's interesting about that, though, so we did a town hall upon our return from Monterrey,
Mhm.
and we had it with the workers. And I recall this lady in the front row, who, even though, and the thing about these topics is you have to be factual. I mean, listen,
Yeah,
it is what it
you
is.
have
And
to research.
so I was trying to
Right.
explain to her that
Mhm.
Monterrey was not this backward shanty town, that this was an actual amazing city. And
Mhm.
she literally told me that was impossible because Mexicans live there. And I was like, ma'am, you are out of your mind. And
Right.
so what I have learned, and you haven't asked me this question, is that I think prior to 2016 or maybe 15, I
Mhm.
think I think I would have allowed people to get away with certain things, and then
Mhm.
this phenomena has occurred in the last 5 years where
Yeah.
uh, people named Karen, and Karen is a beautiful name, but it appears that right Karens became the thing, the
Right,
sort
right,
of
right. Right.
where you just can't tolerate it anymore. There's
Yeah.
just not
Yeah.
when people say things that are just not true,
Yeah.
you just have to be able to say you are incorrect, like you are
Yes.
so wrong, because
Yes.
allowing these misperceptions,
Mhm.
misconceptions
Mhm.
makes things worse.
Mhm. Mhm.
Makes things
I
worse.
agree.
So I'm much more vocal in a polite way.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
If someone were to say something that is just not correct, I don't think I would have been such, but
Mhm.
I think our conversation
Yeah.
has changed so much that
I
you have to
agree.
be able to say, yeah,
I agree. I think we're all kind of feeling that way, that I'm not gonna sit here and let you say stuff that is just so outlandish,
right,
about people. Like, I can't let you do that anymore. I
you
can't sit
can't,
that quietly
you can't,
anymore. And it's kind of like, and if there's backlash, there's backlash, but it's not on my watch.
right.
It's not going to happen. Let me ask you something else. What changes? You're a reporter, you're a journalist, you've been in this industry, for some time now. And not that it's like, not like you're old, but
That's the old question.
I know you. I get them too now, and I'm like, oh, that's the old lady question. So, but you've seen your industry evolve. That's what my point is. You've seen it evolve
Hmm.
since you first started and to this date. And so, what changes would you like to see as we continue on this journey of representation? So, if you were to look at journalism, particularly broadcast, and how things are evolving within your industry, and you're seeing more diversity, you're seeing more more diversity from a cultural and even a gender perspective within your industry. What changes would you like to see happen over the years?
Yeah, interesting. I just left in August. We went to a convention in Las Vegas for journalists of color, both African
Oh, you went
American
to
and
ABJ?
Latino. What's
You went
that?
to ABJ?
I went to NBJ.
Good.
And so, for example, here at Scripps Media, which owns WRTV
Mhm.
and more than 40 TV stations across the country, at the convention, we had with us in our recruitment station, we had, I think, more than 300 jobs available at that moment.
Mhm.
And the funny thing is, finding the people. So so here we are now, right? Before you had a force company, right? I remember I was affirmative action
Mhm.
back in the '90s. So everyone reminded me that I was an affirmative action baby. That the reason I got my job was because somewhere along the line, the government was telling these companies, you got to hire them.
Mhm.
Now it's all flipped. Now they need to hire us. But
Mhm.
but the question is, where are we? And so, Denise, the great challenge, as every corporation, as every entity is looking for that talent, is,
Yeah.
now that they want us, the question is, do we want them?
Yeah.
Because now we have reached now critical mass. We have people that are PhDs and captains of industry and entrepreneurs and
Mhm.
you name it, we're there. Uh,
Mhm.
do
Mhm.
we need to be there at greater numbers? Absolutely, but we're
Mhm.
there. And so
Yes.
now we could be more picky. Like, I don't have to work for you
Right.
because, right, what's your mission statement?
Mhm.
What do you socially do? How
Right.
much how much are you going to pay me? What's your
Right.
health insurance? Right. So there's all those things that now people that look like me, that look like you, that just look like anything else, right?
Right.
Much more choices that we have, and we don't have to put up with crap.
Right. That's a really, really good point because, you know, but here's the thing, it's almost like the problem has shifted, but it's taken on a new narrative. So when I
Hmm.
first started my career in PR, there weren't a lot of people that looked like me in the discipline. It was kind of like me, you know,
Right.
and then looking around like, okay, what's up? Then as I've evolved, of course, we need more people that look like me, that look like you, but we still can't find us
Right.
because we're going in other directions because so many opportunities have opened up. So that's been a challenge. So it's like the challenge still exists, but the reasons for the challenge or the barriers to the challenge have shifted. Back in the day, it was because most colleges didn't have PR programs. Now colleges have PR programs, and these, graduates are starting their own firms. They're going in other directions. You're just seeing so many opportunities outside of the traditional career paths open up for us, and we're taking advantage of those and not looking at those traditional routes or jobs or positions that, now, you know, organizations so desperately need to hire.
Well, just like what you're doing with this, digital podcast, right? I think the digital landscape has allowed people to say, "I'm going to do it my way, and I can
Right.
still make money, and I don't need you."
Right.
And
That part.
so,
I
and
don't
s-
need you.
and
Yeah.
so that is a very difficult conversation for employers to have when they've been used to having to say, "You need me. Like, you, if you
Right.
want to work in this industry, you need me." And the reality
Right.
is, as COVID also taught us, we became very much independently. We had to be survivors.
Yeah, we
And,
became entrepreneurs. Everybody
right.
became really, really innovative, creative.
You had to figure it
Project
out. Figure it
Yeah.
out. Right.
We all got to do stuff we've always wanted to try and never had the time to do it because we had
And
so much time on our hands.
And so now for the employer, which is still stuck on the traditional come into the building, sit a cubicle, here's your phone, here's your laptop, we're thinking, what are you talking about? I'm not going
Right.
laptop. I mean,
Right.
I'm gonna work off my phone and I'm gonna work in
Right.
Aruba because
Right.
because you don't need to see me. And so I think it's all changed so much that I think employers are struggling to capture the talent because the
Yeah.
talent is saying, yeah,
Hello.
I'll work for you on my terms,
Right.
right?
Right.
And employers don't like that,
No.
right? Because someone has to be in charge, right? And so
Right.
I think having that freedom has to be scary on both ends.
Mhm.
So
It does.
I think for employers, to answer your question though, yes, I think we need to see more of everyone in the
Mhm.
room because I think the more voices you have, then you're less prone to make mistakes. So
That
I need to see people, not that I would know, but that
Right.
are transgender. I need to see people that are black. I need to see Asians. I need to see
Right.
people who speak German and Italian because you know what? The people that in our community speak those languages. Because
Right.
the more of those people you have, then when something comes up, you can say, well, really, that's not the way you say it. Okay, well, I mean, like, you could
How
have
do I say it?
conversations, but you
Right.
can then be authentic and
Right.
genuine. Because the one thing
Right.
we do know is the audience can smell bullshit. And if you're not honest, if you're
Technology is making this conversation have hiccups, and it's making me mad because
That's
it's
okay.
so great.
No, but the audience. What we do know is that audiences and people can sense when you're not being a local. They can
Right,
tell, like, oh, this person's not from here, by the way you speak, by what you say, by what you know. And so I think
right.
the more we have of everything in
Mhm,
across the board, then you can really kick some butt. And I'm
mhm.
still mesmerized that at the end of the day, we are all about capitalism. The one thing I
Right,
know about America is we love the dollar.
right.
We prefer the 50, but we love our dollar. And I don't understand why, for economic just
Mhm,
control, why you would not open up your doors and say, I need one of everybody in this room because
right.
because it's about the money.
Yeah, because money is green, and Imma get my coins. So, hey, I hate this so much because I could talk to you all day, and I haven't had a chance to talk to you in a long time, but we're coming to an end of our ep
That's
with our
okay.
time together.
You got to wrap this up sometime. I mean,
I
people have things
know,
to
I
do.
know. All the good things have to come to an
They
end.
really do. They really do.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us for this episode of How They See Us. It has been an absolute joy talking to you. I have missed you. Always love my conversations with you because they're so insightful. And I cannot thank you enough for joining us today.
Well, much success to you. I do appreciate that you've created a platform where people can be heard, where
Thank
people can
you.
share thoughts. Because I think at the end of the day, we just need, as a country, to continue to have conversations.
Yeah.
You and I do not need to agree on everything. In fact, we can disagree on everything. But what we
Hmm.
have to always remember is that we are all owed a level of dignity and respect. And so,
Hmm.
to that end, I think as we look at this month of Hispanic Heritage Month,
Hmm.
as we look forward to Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and all those other great days, and we'll look at Pride Month and all the things that make us a
Hmm.
better country, is we just need to remember to respect each other and find that ground where I can have conversations with you because it's the
Absolutely.
right thing to do. I don't have to agree, I don't have to like you, but I do have to respect you and your voice, knowing that it's as equal as mine. So I think once we remember that,
Hmm.
we're going to be all right. We're
I
going to be all right.
agree.
Yeah, we'll be
I
all right.
couldn't agree more. Well, thank you so much. I'll
Gracias.
catch
Thank
you
you.
on the flip side. I'll catch you on the flip side. So, once again, that was another episode of How They See Us. I hope you all enjoyed that conversation. And make sure you share this with your friends. You can follow us on LinkedIn, follow us on all of our social media platforms at Herd Strategies. And thanks for joining us for another episode of How They See Us. I'll see you soon.